Hi, this is Sabina Matharu with another episode of the Reach for Greatness Alive TV. I am the host and founder of Reach for Greatness and the Reach for Greatness TV, as well as the Greatness Club. And today I've got an amazing guest with me, the lovely Gia Lily, who is a love and relationship coach. And you know what? This is something that I was totally passionate about, because this topic today, I think, is so super relevant for women entrepreneurs. And we're going to talk about how to stay strong as a woman in business, even when you are not feeling supported by your loved ones. And I believe everyone must have gone through some sort of scenario like this. So we're going to talk about, I think Gia's got about 3 things that she wants to talk to us about as well, in terms of how we can handle relationships when we do have that dip, and when we do recognize perhaps some of the relationships that we do have are toxic or not working, and how we can maybe fix them or let go of them, whatever it may be. Gia, you are the expert, so super welcome.
Thank you so much, Sabina. I'm really excited to be here. I really appreciate the invite and to share, these tips, which, I'm sure are going to be so helpful to a lot of women out there who are struggling with this. So
Yes.
It's my pleasure to be here, and I'd love to share whatever I can in the time that we have together.
Brilliant, Gia. That's amazing. And if you're joining in live, then please, don't hesitate to ask us questions. That's what we're here for. Of course, it would be lovely to have that live conversation. But if you are watching on replay, then, just say #replay and ask your questions as well. We'll come back and just answer as best as we can. So, Gia, tell us a little bit what you do, and maybe just paint the picture of the scenario in terms of what we talked about, in terms of what may be the situation when it comes to entrepreneurship. Because I know we've got husbands, we've got friends, family, and they don't always understand what we do and how we do things in our business, especially when we're working online,
Yes, exactly. So what I'd like to talk about a little bit about in the way that I support women with this, particularly, like you say, we very much look at the dynamic of the relationship, because, as you rightly say, not everybody has a spouse. It could be your best friend, it could be your mom or dad, it could be a sibling, it could be anyone. So, I very much look at relationship dynamics of all kinds, but particularly specialize in relationships. So yes. If you're partnered, and even if you're not partnered, what the dynamic looks like with other members of your immediate circle as such. And it's so important to feel supported, isn't it? So when we're not getting that, it can feel very deflating, and especially in this cutthroat world. I want to use that word cutthroat because it really is highly competitive out there, especially in the online world, and you're trying to make it as a successful and sustainable business, and you, of course, being the face of that, there's a lot of pressure there. So it's so important to feel supported when you are on that entrepreneurial journey, for sure. And the very least we love, appreciate, and would expect from the people we love is that support, is that understanding. So when that doesn't come, we as entrepreneurs, especially as women, because we are very sensitive by nature, this is certainly not a stereotypical slur. This is how we are actually wired. We are so emotionally intelligent that we are actually able to pick up on nuances that aren't even there. So when we're labeled as oversensitive, truly, we are. Did you know that the female brain is actually 8 times more attuned to emotions than to male brains?
Really?
Absolutely. This has been proved by neuroscience. So with that, with the fact that we are wired this way, is there any wonder that we can feel overwhelmed or overly emotional when we're not feeling supported? Yeah.
And so I think it's also because we have so many things that we are juggling as females. I don't know why there
Yes.
seems to be, of course, with family in the background, there's this, obviously only mummy can do this, right?
Exactly.
So I think there's more things that I'm juggling with the business as well. So and you got to slip into this different characters or have the different hats on all the time, and that makes it really, really hard. And then if, say, your husband, and probably he doesn't really realize that he's making some sarcastic comment, or I think it's sarcastic, and it's like, why is he asking me this kind of question, right? So that kind of makes sense now. He's saying that females are more attuned to, or more sort of, I guess we read into things a bit more. Don't know whether you can say it that way.
Yes, no, absolutely we do, because we actually have that ability to do so. Our brains are wired that way, to pick up on that kind of information. And what you've shared there, yes, absolutely true. And we have so much that we're taking care of, that to juggle, and that our children look to us, our spouses look to us to take care of the home, our clients look to us to solve their problems. And it's, we really do feel the pressure and the overwhelm. And when we're feeling that way, we can feel even more emotionally sensitive. So again, having that kind of support, that encouragement, it's so needed. It's not us being irrational. And sometimes it can appear that way, oh, you're just being oversensitive, it will be okay.
Yeah.
But, when you're in that space and you are juggling everything, it's real. So how do we deal with that? How do we deal with the interaction? So first of all, it's really, really important, and we don't need any neuroscientists to tell us this, but it really is about protecting ourselves and our boundaries, first of all, and making sure that we're taking care of ourselves as best we can. So it's about, like calming our crazy minds, because we're doing so much in a short space of time, constantly flipping from one thing to another, like you said about changing the hats. It's so important to take care of our mental health and well-being, and that means, first of all, relaxation. So that will help to calm our crazy nervous system, which is working all the time, when we're thinking about different things. But more than anything else, and how this relates to in terms of how we are interacting with our spouse, our children, whoever it might be, is, if we are if we're looking at things from an objective point of view, from a point of where we are feeling calm and collected, then we are able to manage our communications in a way which aren't feeling like we are about to head into battle with an argument. Because when you're feeling sensitive, it's so easy to come back with a really quick, quip that, that you don't even know where it really came from, because you're just ready to snap sometimes. Yeah. It's really hard to keep it together. So really, one of the things that's so important to be able to do is to stay calm. And to be able to stay calm, it's like whatever means of relaxation we use, whether it's meditation or, whatever helps you to relieve stress, that's so important. It's like giving ourselves a chance to think before we act and speak.
You're right, but then this kind of sounds to me like you need to actually, make that space and that time to actually meditate. But when you're in a situation where something happens, I guess this is then like, right, how do I react? It's about stopping yourself from reacting there and then.
Yes, okay, yeah. Now, of course, that's a long-term, strategy I've just shared there. So there and then, on the spot, okay, so bite your lip, count to 3 before you give a response. Allow yourself at least 5 seconds before you respond, because you need to take quick action in terms of calming yourself down. So a great way to do this, and again, it's been scientifically proven, if you just allow yourself to take some breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, so that you can quickly calm like the emotional side of the brain, because what you're doing is now taking away the focus from the emotional side of the brain and bringing your attention actually to to the front of your brain, like the CEO part of your brain, where you're going into problem solving. You're going to, okay, how do you solve this?
Yes.
Okay, so just by taking like 6 breaths in and out, like in through the nose and out through the mouth, you can actually shift what your brain is doing in terms of where the attention and the energy is. Shift it out of your emotional side, bring it to your CEO, superior side of the brain, where you are actually invested in thinking before you speak. Okay. It's so important. It's so important, you know. So that's one way, but also take a look at how they're responding to you, and it will also depend on how the interaction is. You know, it's like if that person is being aggressive towards you, then it's really important to take those breaths, okay? Because the moment we lose it, then pandemonium breaks loose, and we want to be able to dissolve you know, a potential argument from breaking out. It's up to us, being more emotionally intelligent, there I said it, to be able to bring it back and calm the situation down. Sorry, Sabine, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think this is so important, not to actually counter-react with the same emotion. So if someone's angry towards you, then if you are then angry back, then obviously it's sort of double angry altogether, right?
Exactly, it just fuels the fire.
Yes.
What you want to be able to do is to diffuse the situation, for sure.
Let me just read some comments, and I'd like to welcome the lovely ladies that joined us. I can see Christine, Saraj, and Sharon. Sharon is saying it's so important to manage our own expectations of support, and for the amount and source of that support to provide self-care for our emotional space needs. Great discussion. Oh, thank you, Sharon.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely, Sharon. You know, you got it there in terms of managing expectations as well, because, you know, it's about managing expectations like from your spouse or the other person's point of view as well. It's like, okay, do I really expect her to do everything? So that's the other person taking responsibility. But also it's about, okay, like, how are you seeing your partner or your friend or whatever? Are you expecting them to be your rock and support as well? It's like, okay, so let's say, for instance, you don't have a nucleus of friends or a community or a group where you feel like you can discuss these things with fellow businesswomen and entrepreneurs who understand, and you've actually got, you know, somewhere where you can vent and share and things like that. If you don't have anything like that, then ask yourself, is it fair that I expect my partner, friend, whoever it might be, to understand what I'm going through? You know, is it fair for me to expect them to get where I am and the challenges that I'm facing?
Well, that's a question, isn't it? Because quite often, as we are evolving in our businesses, our husbands or partners or friends may not be there, you know, and see what we're going through and how we're actually developing. I think that's a good question in terms of, you know, we are on a journey of self-development, whether we kind of can go down a different route and maybe, well, I don't want to say like we're growing apart, but I guess we're just developing on different levels, and how to actually handle that when, I guess, when push comes to shove, I would have thought, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in this case, actually a really good way to bring it back if you're concerned about growing apart as such is actively take an interest in it, especially like, you know, the other person who has the partner or spouse or friend or whatever who is the entrepreneur. Take an active interest. You know, even if you're never going to buy from them or anything like that, it doesn't matter. It's about taking an interest. Show them that you care, you know, that you're taking some kind of interest in what they're doing. You know, don't be afraid to ask them questions, but in a way which is engaging, right? Rather than feeling critical. It's like, okay, so how are sales going today? Could you imagine how that goes down? And when you're in that situation, you're trying to make a sale and things aren't happening the way you want them to, the last thing you want to hear is, okay, how's business doing? How many sales have you made? How much money have you made? You know,
So how do you respond then? Because obviously you can't influence the way they're asking you questions.
No, it's about how you respond to them, exactly. Yeah. So what you can do with that is say, well, it's an interesting one because, okay, so let's say
let's say things aren't going well. Like if they go well, obviously, then that's what I did actually. Once I actually opened my PayPal account, I said, "Here we go," and he goes, "Oh shit, go continue what you're doing."
Yeah, see, that's the thing, if you engage with them and say, well, you know what, actually, the way that I was doing things doesn't seem to be working, so I'm going to have to change track. Say something like that. And then they say, well, okay, so what have you been doing then? And then you can go into a conversation, draw them in, include them, because they may come up with suggestions.
Exactly. In that particular month, I had a very, very good month. So I was so happy to open up, said, there we go. It's almost like sometimes you got to prove yourself in order to, I don't know, to validate your business in front of, other people. And it's like, of course, we don't want to be in that situation. And I don't think we need to do that because we need to, believe in ourselves and in our own abilities. And if someone's asking us questions, then it's not about blagging and say, yeah, it's brilliant, I'm making all this money, I have like so many clients. I guess it's about keeping it real, and I guess not having to feel guilty or ashamed.
Exactly, and these are brilliant points because yes, it's about being real and honest with yourself, but it depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to your spouse, then you're going to be honest, but in a way, like I said earlier on, where I gave that example, where you are trying to include them so that they can have input. By the way, men love to feel included, and if they feel like they can offer you a solution, they're really happy because you've included them, they're the problem solver. They would absolutely love that. So this is what I mean. It's like, play to that, allow them in, allow them to make some suggestions. Then you can do well, how can we do this as well? X, Y, Z. That's a really good way to include them, and then he'll feel more engaged and, start taking more of an interest in what you're doing and how you're doing things. So that could potentially dissolve the conflict aspect of what you're doing. But if it's somebody else, let's say like your mom or someone who's not as close to you, where you don't really feel like you need to have these conversations, but what you can do is just allow them to express their thoughts and opinions, and you can listen. You don't have to say anything about it, or you don't even have to take anything on board, or you certainly don't have to justify yourself. Okay. So again, depending on who it is and how they're coming across will determine how you respond.
That's a very interesting aspect, that you don't have to justify yourself. So you just take it in or in and out kind of thing, is it?
Exactly. Sometimes that's the best way. Please carry on, Sabine, you were saying.
No, I think it makes sense. It's about protecting yourself, I guess, because if you let it in and if you let it affect you, then obviously it will affect your thoughts and your mindset, and then your performance going forwards.
Exactly, and you raised a really brilliant point, which I was going to go on to. Yeah, your mindset really does have to be stellar. Your inner game between your two ears has to be so strong that nothing or no one will shake you. Because as it is, being an entrepreneur, like being on that journey, it's a tumultuous journey. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those, you probably have, like on Facebook or Instagram, and you see that graphic, where you've got the entrepreneur's journey, like 1 minute you're up there, and then next minute, this is going great. Oh, I feel like crap. This is wonderful, it's working. Why did I think about giving up? Oh, it's really awful. So this is what I mean. Like, we're always on that roller coaster. So it's about being linear as much as we can. In life, we all have our challenges and setbacks anyway. And being an entrepreneur, because everything really is on you, it's a huge stress. So the last thing you need is to have outsiders as such, let's say people outside of your business, chiming in and basically chipping away at your self-confidence. So that really has to be stellar, like you said.
Yes, thank you. I'm just going back to a couple of comments.
Sure.
Sharon says, I think that being more emotional does not equate to being more emotionally intelligent.
Yes, that's very true. Yes, because it can work either way, can't it? I mean, it's like having extremes. When you're feeling emotional, you're feeling overwhelmed, and actually that is actually disempowering, and you are more likely to make impulsive decisions. Generally speaking, emotional intelligence is about picking up on nuances that aren't seen by the naked eye as such. It's like going beyond. It's like tapping into our sixth sense, if you will. So yes, the two are very, very different.
Yes, thank you. Saroj agrees, take a couple of deep breaths before you respond. Helps, definitely. And Sharon says, completely agree, Saroj. Survival brain reactions happen way faster than heart spirit energy responses. Taking a breath allows us the time space to choose our response rather than base reaction.
Absolutely.
So any more questions that we just see? Saroj said, thank you, Sharon. Yes, it's better response. Yeah, definitely. And Sharon, it's what you choose to take in or not that allows for greater freedom of choice. No one can make you happy or miserable if you don't let them. And that is so super powerful, because I think we kind of forget that. And I was in that situation myself quite recently, where I had a toxic relationship, and I was I let it happen, that I was a victim, and the power was taken away, and I was kind of underground for a while and sort of not wanting. Oh, Facebook just had a bit of hiccup.